I don't even know where to start with this one, guys, because there is so much to say about this freakish Frankenstein Total Gym Sliding Bench Trainer GR8FLEX setup right here that it would take me a very long time. I'll probably spread this out through a few videos. You can see I've also thrown on the Beyond Power Voltra on this thing. Very cool. Things have kind of changed. As of GR8FLEX, you guys asked for it. They're working on something. This brand new advanced glideboard system is what they're calling this. And as you can see, it fits on this Total Gym Fit. As with everything, you try this at your own risk. This is just me sharing my personal thoughts and opinions on this unique product here. There are a lot of cool things, a lot of good things. There's also some bad things. So I'll share that with you guys here. Again, I'm gonna try and keep this somewhat brief and informative, give you guys the nuts and bolts, how I'm using this. I'm sure you're gonna see a lot more of this in the future. Grateful to GR8FLEX for letting me try this, also giving me this promo code. I'll flash it here on the screen. Takes off a decent amount off this advanced glideboard system, which is not cheap. So that is probably obvious up front if you're considering, say, upgrading to an Evolve versus something like this. So that is definitely something to consider, and I understand that. But there's nothing else like this right now that really does it. So at the end of the day, it really depends if you guys think this is worth it. But I'm gonna try and cover the overall lay of the land so you guys can make the best decision if you do choose to pick up a GR8FLEX or this new advanced glideboard system and take the risk like I did and putting it on this Total Gym Fit right here. As always though, guys, this whole channel is based on my personal interest, but of course I like the feedback. So if you guys like to see and want to see more sliding bench training, Total Gym, or GR8FLEX content, please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. It shows me that you guys want to see more of this, and I will deliver in the future. All right, we'll first cover all the different attachments. I'll eventually show you how they hook up onto the GR8FLEX and the glideboard. We'll talk about the glideboard here in a second. One thing to note, if I didn't say it already, that there are different color options. Of course, you can mix and match whatever you guys want to do. I assume though, whatever glideboard you are picking, it's coming with matching colored attachments. Based on what I heard, the supply is kind of limited. I'm not trying to make it a sense of urgency, but there's probably a good chance some of these colors might sell out. So that's just something to kind of think about. Now, when you get to the attachments, what they give you, these are stabilizer arms. You can use these things for some of the leg curls or even some leg stuff to kind of help stabilize you. Something to note just in general, I would say this is a con. These are fairly lightweight, just like Total Gym too. I'd say the downside of these machines is that the attachment field can be fairly kind of cheap, and you can see that kind of plastic coating. So nothing super crazy or heavy duty about that. Talking about the bands, and again, they make all different colored bands before, other models, they had upgrade kits and stuff like that. They say the band tension goes up to 270 pounds. I don't put a lot of credence on the actual overall rating because again, we're talking variable resistance, so that might change depending on how much tension you have on there. I will say these can be kind of deceiving, and you could probably rig other bands. I'll talk about that in a second, other off brands or just things you can get creative with. But this can get very hard and very challenging. There's some exercises that are better than others on using resistance bands versus, say, of course, the weight bar. But what they do is for the 270 pounds, they give you a set of pairs. So they go from, here's a 10-pound pair, and they go up to 15, 20, 25, 30, and then there's 35 pounds in the weight increments there. Bunch of different clips, standard size clips for those 1-inch hole weight plates. Here is a ab attachment that goes on the top. I'll show you as that in a second. Notice these this is kind of a nice feature. These are magnetic pins, so that I appreciate, that's nice. Here is something that I do not think, from based on what I was told, this is not in every kit. So they did give me somewhat of an exclusive that if you do use that code I mentioned earlier, they do throw this adapter, and I'll show you that in a second, over on the bottom of the frame. It hooks onto the bottom of that Total Gym. And I'm assuming it maybe does other things for maybe other components, but allows you to put bands right down there. Here's a arm mechanism that will go for leg curls, bicep curls, attaches to other things there. Notice that these are just simply held together with little just plastic rods, and then you put the little foam thing and slide it on there. Again, nothing super substantial. Notice too that there's a little bit of wiggle room, like a lot of play in some of this. That's just something to kind of note too. Different adjustment points depending how you want to put those arms on those settings. Here is, and I will show you this, well I'll show you it now, but I will show you a flaw that did happen. Like I've already banged this up and dented it on a situation. I'll get to that. Here's another arm that attaches onto here. I'll show you that. Here are some little rings. Nice little clever way, I guess, about attaching resistance bands and a bar to that glide board. I will show you that. They give you a lightweight, little kind of, again, relatively cheap chain, some carabiners, And then they give you this light barbell. It's actually not a bad little barbell. I wish it kind of rotated, otherwise it would be nice. It's a little bit lighter though, but not bad. And then here is their weight bar attachment. Has a little eye bolt there at the end. Sometimes these eye bolts, you gotta be careful. I've had some of these break on me in the past. I put a lot of weight on here and these things just pop right off, but still nice to have other than just something different. I guess the Total Gym one is just a hollow out straight bar. And then here is the preacher curl with a little magnetic pop pin attached to it. Nothing super crazy. You can see there's already a rip in there. Is that a rip? Yeah, that's a rip. So might have been my doing. I don't really know. Likely was. This was on the ground for a while. And you know, just some scuffing. You'll see where that came from here in a second. All right, now talking about the adjustable glide board. This is really the selling point for me and probably for many of you guys to see. A lot of different features here to share with you guys. One thing to note is, I believe in the camo color, the fabric is different. It's like a little harder kind of cloth vinyl. This one feels like more of a cheaper type of material. It's not as firm or as more higher quality than say in the Total Gym Evolve I was used to. Also has a little more of a slip to it. So that is something that if you've seen in past videos, you'll see some clips of me. I got this little mat that I would throw over here. I'll link this down below. This grip mat, surprisingly, it's inexpensive. Of course, you can always wash it too. That's another benefit of it. But just by throwing this mat on here, it allows you to kind of have and establish some grip, because otherwise if you don't have this off, I noticed a lot, especially when I was switching this out, being used to the Evolve had some natural grip to it. This one does not. I feel like it really wants to, you really want to kind of slip and slide on this thing. So for some exercises, a grip mat was pretty necessary. Up here, there's the mechanism to kind of raise it up. You notice you can get like above 90 degrees right there. It has 6 different positions. Here's the spot where you'd attach the clips, and I will show you that here in a second. Something else to note are the different spots you can put the glide board, or the weight bar attachment. So that would just go, you know, right through here. And of course, other than whatever else you want to be creative with it, you can put down a 1-inch plates. You'll see some shots of that. You could even incorporate 2 of these bars. You got to check the weight capacity on that, but I had a bar up top and a bar down below if you wanted to kind of mix and match. So it's nice compared to the Total Gym. There's only 1 spot. This one you got 3 different spots, but also something that's neat. I do not believe this was on the Total Gym Evolve either, but notice there's a hole here. There's 3 holes down below, and then there's holes up top. So if there's a preference, I would assume you want to have it always anchored down here, but if there was a preference to have something anchored up there or up there, over there, you guys can do that. But I'm almost assuming for added security, this is probably more ideal to have this down and going through both holes. That's just me kind of going off of that though. This was some cheaper metal here. This bends a little bit just to kind of show you it's nothing too substantial right there. All right, now I'll just show you how the various things attach. Here is the adapter that comes with that exclusive code. They throw it into all those different sets. And if it's not too obvious, that's where the bands are going to clip in. It does fit fairly nice. I think on some of the shots, a couple times I mixed it up. I had this the other way, and then sometimes I actually had it at a angle like that. I wouldn't recommend doing that. This can flush flat like that, and the bands can clip. There's a little hole right here, right there. Goes under. I actually, when I first got this, I started clipping it here, which I guess you could do, but I would not recommend that. This is probably definitely a spot you want to do it, because what happened is I clipped them up here and then the thing wanted to pull the glide board down. So as of right here, this is where the band is set up. Now notice ideally, maybe it would sit like this. Sometimes they will, so they will kind of fly off that way. And probably it might just be because it's not totally lined up, so that could be a thing. Oh, and something I do want to mention is that if you got other loop bands, I mean, there's many probably creative ways you can attach resistance bands to these things, but I thought I might as well plug this squat harness. I've plugged these bands many times. I think these are a great value. My buddy Jason over there at Squat Harness, there's a promo code for that, shameless plug. These are just very versatile bands. You could go around this back end here, clip something like that onto there, or if you had the weight bar attachment, you could even put some band like this up higher around a barbell up there. That's another option that'd probably be better. But these have pretty dense coverings. I've used these outside in gravel. They're known to be pretty resistant. And the beauty of these types of bands is that if they snap, they're not gonna fly, and if they rip or something, this is extra fabric is there to kind of protect you from that. And so there's a whole bunch of sets with these. Point is, you can be creative with how you want to add extra resistance to this. But this arm slides right through here, and then you could just kind of find the notch that you're gonna put it in. Sometimes I have it all the way up close, but if there's a notch it clicks into, now it's totally secure there. Attach the leg extension. All right, I've loaded all the resistance bands on here. It is very crowded. There's probably better ways of doing this, but I want to show you what this feels like and what the tension feels like. Doesn't feel that ideal. I mean, it's tough, but you're gonna want to go lighter. Let me see what it feels like if I just lay back. Oh, by the way, let me show you those, might as well put these in. And there are two spots for this. There's one up top, and then there's one down here. See what this feels like. Not the most comfortable thing in the world. Let's take off some bands. All right, gone ahead and removed some bands. You can see there's this little arc kind of happening here. It's not bad. This is fairly light, but the more you do, this would be a nice little warm-up set. It's not that bad, to be honest with you. It is good. It's different. Would I go out of my way to do this? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. The more I do, it's actually starting to burn a little bit. So it's a nice even tension. Probably not ideal, but it's good to have with this set. I'm not going to lie. It's not horrible. I will just say that. All right, now this is where, unfortunately, a fatal flaw happened. This happened, I think, day one when I first got it, and I didn't think I was really putting up a whole lot of weight on here. But you can see the bands kind of connect there and putting a lot of pressure on this metal point, and it went ahead and actually bent that point right there. And that's an issue because this is where you're going to insert the preacher curl. It was broken before I could even get a chance to fully use it. I tried some stuff, but notice I can't even really get that in there. I did go ahead and bang this thing in and put the screw inside here. Now what possibly could have saved it, although I do think this would probably still happen, is if you just left this thing in here, that might have not happened and warped that metal, because maybe this would have buffered it. However, you're going to need to take this thing out when you do the lying leg curl, so I feel like that metal might bend regardless. So I don't really know about that, but you can do the bicep exercise. They did one where you were kind of like doing half reps there. I saw on their website. You could take this thing off, attach this down here. The other issue, and you could fine tune the preacher curl, is I don't like how I kind of feel like I'm going to tip the whole machine over, and you'll see the bands and the weight just kind of flop down this way. It's just kind of a weird exercise, and sometimes you see right there the bands kind of flip out. Overall, preacher curl I think needs some work. Not my favorite there. Then for leg curls, you're going to go ahead and put this arm in. This one actually feels pretty good. I'm going to leave the weight where it is. You got these little stabilizer arms, which I appreciate. Again, is it like the best thing ever? No, definitely better than the leg extensions. When you get to right about here, there's some really nice band tension, and to be honest, this does feel pretty good. I preferably would like a free weight, probably, but this, for what it is, not a bad exercise. Gonna go ahead and load some more weight on, drop this down, stabilize your arms back in. All right, let's see how this feels. Now this is one of the best functions right here. Being able to brace yourself right here is a huge thing. And even with this light weight, I'm getting good tension. Now, believe it or not, this is one of the first times I tried this. I just didn't really think about these stable arms too much. I don't know why, but this feels really good. For the sake of time, I'm not going to show it. I actually did it off recording. I thought it was a little convoluted. It's not bad. You could fine tune it. It's better than nothing, but there's a better way of doing it where they did chest presses. On here, they use these little holes on top of the weight bar. You can angle it like this. Then you can go ahead and clip your bands on there. You can put these clips on so it doesn't move off. And you can use this is the GR8FLEX weight bar. It is not bad, but there's a better way of doing it, which is just putting, I've said this before on the channel, my favorite resistance band, chest presses. And underneath the carriage here, it's pretty smooth. There's nothing's really that abrasive, where I could still do, as always at your own risk, I could do the resistance band press. Not really ideal is if you got resistance bands, doing a chest press, getting yourself set up is pretty difficult without having the whole machine move or getting in a weird awkward position. Yes, I could reduce some tension which maybe I'll just do really quick so you guys can see that. All right, so I left some on there. But if you're gonna go ahead and set up, you're gonna want some extension, as I always say. It's just, I mean, it's not bad with a lighter weight, but, and I said already that you can make this incredibly difficult. If you're doing things like pulls and rows, you can load that thing up with pretty heavy weight and get yourself set up, especially with the grip mat. But even with this, resistance band rows on here are great. I keep saying it, but in case you're jumping around, I added some extra weight on here too. All this to say, super versatile. I'm just kind of getting my feet wet and all the things you can kind of do here. So again, could be a little risky. I've only done this a handful of times. I actually tried this on the Total Gym Evolve, but if you guys are curious, I can do a whole separate video as I kind of keep feeling this out. It didn't have a better fit on the Evolve because of that square base the Evolve have. I did manage to kind of squeeze it in here with this unique squat stand that's on one of the other models. You can actually set the tension at various lengths. So I kind of pulled the tension out, had the tension set, and then now it's set to start resistance once it starts going from this position. Of course, the great thing about this GR8FLEX squat stand is that you got these nice handy clips here. I believe in the Evolve you could wrap it around, say, the weight bar, but that's another option too. The downside is that you still, as of right now, this way, I'm setting it up right now, which is very haphazardly. You come down and kind of somewhat nick the Voltra, but I think it's a light hit, and I think this thing's built to withstand it, so I'm not too worried about that. Overall summary thoughts, I think right up front, the price is either gonna get you one way or the other. If you have the extra money, this goes into possibly the luxury category. This is gonna open up a lot of doors though for people who have potential maybe issues, or they want to get more flexibility. Now the other question is, do you want to take the gamble and personal risk again of trying this GR8FLEX alongside, say, a Total Gym Fit? But I know a lot of you guys have been asking and debating about wishing one Total Gym would actually go ahead and make some glide boards for sale that go on other models and just kind of change things up a bit. That's a big criticism I have Total Gym. I feel like they've done the status quo for a very, very long time. Probably because they're making money is no necessary reason to do that. GR8FLEX, on the other hand, is at the very least subtly pushing the envelope, so I appreciate that. There, of course, are some shortcomings, some typical things that I don't even like with the Total Gym, cheap feeling components, things that aren't as sturdy and heavy duty, functional things that I think definitely could be improved upon across all these things. But for me, just speaking purely about the glide board functionality, just that part alone, I do love this. I love the fact there is that adapter. That's something I've been saying for a very, very long time, the ability to actually attach resistance bands. There are pros, there are cons. I do think there's actually better ways of doing that. But at the end of the day, this comes down to, is this something you guys feel like you're gonna take advantage of? Are there some opportune positions you're gonna use? Me personally, I definitely love having the adjustable glide board versus not having that. So that's my overall thoughts, guys. Don't want to get too crazy in depth in this video because I'm sure I'll talk and include more things as I learn. There's a lot of things you can do now with this, and if you want to see more things, let me know. If you want to take advantage of that upgrade, again, I'll flash on the screen. It's down below in the description box. Help support me and the channel. Any questions, comments, feedback, let me know, and I'll see you on the next one.